Bienvenidos a todos nómadas digitales y futuros nómadas digitales. El día de hoy me encuentro súper feliz y emocionado, y es que le hice una entrevista a una de las personas categorizadas en top 50 de nómadas digitales con mayor influencia en el 2023 según Remote Influencer Report. Su nombre es Chris y es el fundador de RemoteBase. ¿Y qué es RemoteBase? Bueno, es un boletín informativo que ahorra tiempo y dinero a los nómadas digitales. Sí, y es que tienen ofertas de alojamiento para estadías prolongadas. Si quieren saber más de RemoteBase, todos los links estarán en la descripción. Bueno, vamos a comenzar esta entrevista. Acompáñenme con Chris. Pues nómadas digitales y futuros nómadas digitales, en esta ocasión estamos ya con Chris. Y pues bueno, la verdad que estoy súper emocionado de tenerlo aquí. De verdad que le agradezco muchísimo por la oportunidad que nos está dando. Y bueno, pues vamos a empezar con la entrevista. Finally, we have here Chris. Wow, Chris, it's an honor to have you here in the program. It's El Arte del Nómada. Thank you very much for being here.
An absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me on the channel.
Okay, Chris, so basically, please tell us about your story. How did you become what you are doing right now? How do you become the digital nomad that you are right now?
Sure, yeah. The short answer is kind of by accident. I didn't really know that I was doing digital nomading until afterwards. That's the short answer. The long answer is I had a day job, and I was very fortunate in that my employer would basically let me work from anywhere. I didn't have to go to the office I didn't have to be in a certain place at a certain time to do my work. And I really like to travel, so I decided to combine those two things. And then it wasn't until a little bit after that I realized that there's a name for this. And that was when I realized, wait, I think I'm one of those digital nomads.
Didn't realize it before, like, oh, I'm a digital nomad.
Yeah, that was kind of how I realized. And then I was still working my day job, and I guess basically working remotely changed my entire life, changed like the whole way that I choose to live. And so that kind of took me to the next thing, which was after the day job, which is what I do now, which is an email newsletter called RemoteBase, helping other people go out and live this lifestyle if they want to. And we do that by sharing an email twice a month full of long stay accommodation deals. So this is staying in a place for a month or more and basically getting a massive discount when you do that. So we find those deals and share them with you. Okay,
how long have you been traveling in total?
In total, about 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
And your business right now? How long has it been?
My business right now has been. Wait, I launched it in 2019, so 20, 21, 22, like about 4 years. But it wasn't really a business at the start. At the start, it was a project. It was something that I did for fun, and I had to work for my day. I had to work at my day job to live. And the newsletter was just a fun project. But over time, I realized that it could be a business, and then it started to be a business, and then now I guess it is a business.
Well, what I really like, what I understand it's great idea. It's a great idea because it's like sometimes when I was looking for deals and all of that, it's a bit difficult. And what you're doing is like it's making easier for digital nomads to get a better deal. But it's tell me, what websites are you using? Where are you getting all these discounts, these deals?
Yeah, so a lot of the world has Airbnb available. So Airbnb. If anybody who doesn't know, it's like anybody can turn their house into a hotel, or maybe not a full hotel like you might imagine, but if you have a spare room, then you can sell that space to somebody else, and they pay a price. And it's not just a room, you can get whole properties on Airbnb.
Right.
And so most of what I share is deals that I found on Airbnb, because Airbnb lets the guest or the property owner set the price. So they can decide how much they want to charge for that particular time in that particular property. And this is interesting because most of the time people want to have a short booking. Most guests want to go on a very short vacation, 3 days for a weekend or 1 week. But more and more people now, because they can work remotely, want to travel for a longer period of time. And so it gives them the opportunity to negotiate on the price.
Right.
And the clever host, the property owner, will see that and set a discount on the property for any booking which is over 28 days. So what I do with RemoteBase is find all of these deals that are available, and some of them are huge. Like you can get 50%, 60%, 70%, even 80% discounts on a booking if you're there for for more than a month. So it's significant, and it makes it worth spending the time finding these deals.
Is it something like let's say like Skyscanner? They find the best deals for airplanes, and there are other platforms. Is it like what you're trying to do for Airbnb hacks?
Yeah, kind of. I guess it's a little bit like Skyscanner for flights. The only difference is Skyscanner will show you everything that's available, and you pick what you would like to book. I'm not showing you everything that's available. I'm kind of filtering out everything that's full price, or the things that I don't think like meet the quality that I would look for if I'm going to stay in a place. So we filter that out, and then we share with you what's left, which is the really good stuff that's available at a really good price.
I see. So the one who comes to the property, they take it, and it's out of the
yeah,
right. The first come first serve.
First come first serve, and I don't I don't handle any bookings or like process any payments. Basically, I just curate. So I kind of like filter out all of the good stuff, and then I show it to you, and then it's up to you if you want to book it or not.
It's like how long do I have to book it? Like for example, if it's a month, 1 month in advance or 2 months in advance, how long do I have to do that?
That's a really good question. It depends on a lot of different things. Like if it's a really popular location, and it's that like the peak season, like the holiday season, then you would probably want to look to book in advance to get the best deal. With the newsletter, everything that we share is sent out 3 months in advance. So,
3 months in advance.
Yeah, so like in March, we send deals which are available in June.
Okay. Yeah.
And because that kind of, for the digital nomad or the traveling remote worker, that's a good enough time to be able to figure out basically everything else that goes around the booking. Like you need to book a flight, maybe you need to arrange some things where you currently are, or it's just a good timeline for people to get to the next destination.
Right. Nice. Okay. So, well, Chris, I have some questions prepared for you.
Cool.
Let me read the first one. It's when you had the idea about traveling, how did you turn this into a big business, what it is right now? Like you were just thinking like, oh, maybe this is something that I find an opportunity here. How did you find it like that?
It basically started entirely for me. So I wanted to have all the best deals, and once I realized that I could find like 50% off, I was like, oh, maybe like I need to keep looking. Maybe I'll find 55%. Maybe I'll find 60%. And I always wanted to find the best deal.
So it was first for yourself, and then like with friends and shit like that.
First it was for me, and then I had a wish list in Airbnb where you can save the deals that you find.
Right.
And I had this huge list, and I realized even if like it's impossible for me to stay in all of these places because there's just too many. Like the more deals I looked for, the more I found, and then it just went on and on and on. And I kind of like a YouTube black hole on the internet, right? Like you look at a video and then before you know it, you've seen 6 videos and you don't know where the last 3 hours went. I was just like finding a deal, and then I would stay on Airbnb and I would find even more deals. So I had so many, and I needed a place to share them. so I started to do that in like just online communities for digital nomads. I'm like, hey, does anybody else stay for like a month in a place? Like, that's what I do, and I found all of these deals. Here's a list. But there was no way for me to really control those communities or I think maybe like the first aspect of like it becoming a business was to take ownership of the list, like the email list, and get an email address in exchange for all of the cool deals.
Oh, I see. And nowadays, if I want to subscribe to your newsletter and all that, do you have different plans?
Yeah, so most of the newsletter is completely free.
Okay.
So it's roughly every 2 weeks. It's on the 2nd of the month and on the 18th of the month.
Okay.
I send out a free newsletter which goes to everybody, and that has properties which are different prices and different sizes, like number of bedrooms, and they're in different places. So these properties are all over the world, and they're all available. They're all available for a month, and they're all available in 3 months. But everything else completely varies. So like some of them are at the lower end of the price spectrum. Some of them are like luxury properties, and they're obviously more expensive. They're bigger, but they all have a huge discount. Everybody gets that. And then there's a paid option. So we have a premium membership, and people can basically pay to tell me their preferences. So you say, hey Chris, I'm Eddie. I want to go to Europe, and I need 2 bedrooms. And I have this budget.
Nice.
And I want to be in the city, or I only want to see places where there's a beach. And then we take those preferences.
Wow.
And we just basically send you tons of emails with all of these amazing deals.
Nice. And so I can tell you, for example, I want to go to Mexico. I want to go to maybe, I don't know, to the India. And then you have filters and all that until like something that it's suitable for me, right? If I do the premium.
Yeah, so we can't go to country level, but we go to like continent level. So you can say like, if you want to see Mexico, then you say like, hey, I'm interested in Latin America. Okay, cool. Or if you want to go to Thailand, you say, hey, I'm interested in Asia, and then we give you all of the deals that match your preferences.
I see.
So right now we probably send an email. Every 2 or 3 days, we send an email out to the paid members, and they like every day it's a different location. So like they'll be like today will be Latin America, and then in 3 days we'll send Asia, and then 2 days after that Europe.
Nice.
Yeah, so they all match all of the different preferences, and yeah, that's kind of it. It's a lot. Like there's so many deals that go out. I think in 2022, we sent out over $700,000 of savings.
Wow.
So premium members get a lot. They get a lot, and the subscription is like $68.
Do you see it? Do you see it? You gotta subscribe.
There's a lot of money to be saved, guys. That's what I'll say.
Wow, really impressive. You have a big community right now, right? How many? If you don't mind, how many people per month do you send newsletters to?
So there's like 3,500 people on the free newsletter, and it just grows every day, which I'm really, really thankful for. Like, it's great, and a lot of the time people message me and they tell me how they found the newsletter, and it's because somebody else who is already a member has shared the email with them or told them about RemoteBase, and it's so important. Like, the more people that we have on the list, eventually the goal is to be able to use the power of the size of the list to get better deals. So with Airbnb, we're dealing with one property owner or a small company that manages a handful of properties. But eventually I want the list to be so big. I want the RemoteBase community to be so big that we can go and say to a hotel or a co-living space or somewhere else that's got really cool property, we can go to them and say, hey, there's 20,000 people, 50,000 people, 100,000 people on this list. Can you offer members of our community a really good rate? Because at that point, they can't really say no. Like, the quality of the guest. There's another thing that, if you're a property owner, there's this element of risk. So if you have people coming to your property for a short weekend to like basically vacation, maybe they want to party, maybe they're there to relax and like not do anything. So maybe they don't clean the place, or maybe they don't look after it, they don't respect the property.
Right.
And that's very different when your guest is like living there and treating it like a home, and taking better care of the property. So I think there's a lot of potential there as the list grows and as the community gets bigger and bigger to go out and use that to everybody's advantage. Like everybody benefits when the list grows, and I think that's really cool.
Wow, what I can see, it's a huge responsibility now for you. Like it's like it's a lot of like, because it's not only like sending to 10 people, it's like 3,500 people per newsletters per month. It's like a huge responsibility, right? Do you have kind of like filters about like selecting the properties that they are 5 stars, 4 star, or you still? Oh,
I have like I guess it's the Chris test. It's like it has to pass my test. We filter for everything that you need if you want to be productive.
Right.
So it has to have, good Wi-Fi. It has to have a space to work. Like some properties will be like perfect on paper, but they only have like a kitchen, bar stool area, and you can't really do a day of work from that comfortably. Not maybe for like a day you could do it, but if you want to live this lifestyle sustainably for a long time, you're probably going to have like horrible back problems or neck problems or stuff like this. So we try to find places where there's a good place to work, and it has good Wi-Fi, and then it has things that like make life possible, like the kind of thing that you might not look for when you go on vacation, like a washing machine. Maybe you don't care about that for a vacation, right? But if you're living there, you need to be able to do laundry. So this becomes really important.
Right.
So we filter for this stuff.
Nice. Yeah, because it's like, as we were saying, this is especially for digital nomads. We've been in the situation like the Wi-Fi is not working and oh my God, big problems, right?
Big problems.
Yeah, especially like we gotta be online all the time. All right. Okay, so another question that we have is, what were the steps that you took to bring this idea into a business? If you can give me some steps.
Yeah, like I said, like when I started, it didn't feel like a business. It just felt like a project, and I was mostly doing it like to help other people get access to these cool deals. Right. It wasn't until later that I realized I needed to monetize it. So the software that I used to send the emails, it's free. But once you get to a certain size, it's not free anymore.
Yeah.
So this was a big driver in making money from the newsletter to be able to basically keep the newsletter going. That's how it started.
When you started, it was like you were trying it, but that's more as a digital nomad, more were you having this, were you working for another company, or how were you doing it?
Yeah, so I was working full time for another company based in the UK, and so I didn't need to. I wasn't like it. I didn't need it to make money, and that, I guess I'm very fortunate because that just meant that I could run it for free basically. But then I didn't want it to cost me money, right? I was happy to spend time on it, but I didn't really want it to cost me money. So when I hit the boundaries of like, okay, this software won't be free anymore, then I started to think more about, okay, I should probably
make money with subscriptions, the apps and all this. It's becoming something more serious, huh?
Yeah. So the first way to monetize it was thinking about the premium option. But I was also thinking about like some people won't be in, like this is a newsletter which helps people save money, right? If people are interested in this newsletter, maybe it's because they need to save money. And I didn't want, like, I love this lifestyle and I want everybody to try and experience it. Even if they decide it's not for them, I want people to try it because I think the benefits are so powerful. Like it completely changed the way that I live. So I wanted to try and have a way to keep it free. So the free newsletter will remain free forever.
Good news.
Yeah, but that's made possible through some sponsorships. So there's always a sponsor for the newsletter. So that's like you'll see, you'll see their logo at the top, and you'll see a bit of a description about what they do or the products that they sell, and that just helps me keep the free newsletter going. Right. And that's kind of the way that I decided to do it.
Wow.
Yeah. No. The question was like the step by step of how I turned into a business, and I don't really think that it was. I don't really think it was step by step until very recently, because it was last year I decided to leave my job and do this.
Last year,
full time. Yeah. So it's been less than 12 months now of that experience. And now it's a bit more step by step, right? Like now I can spend way more time thinking about it, planning it, thinking about ways that we can grow and ways that we can find better deals and bring the community to the next level. But before that, it was just a toy. It was something that I did for fun after work. So there was less of a step by step kind of process there. It was just, I think this will benefit people who are on this list, so I'll do it. And that kind of worked.
Wow. So the first month for you, how did it look like? How much were you doing the first month? Like you quit your job, but did you have some saving? Did you have something like to say, okay, I'm fully into this? How did that look for you?
Yeah, I had savings. I had some savings, and I was really scared. Like it's a scary thing when you decide that you're going to quit your full-time job. Like every month, the money fairy brings some money to your bank account, and then all of a sudden the money fairy stops visiting you.
Right.
But yeah, that's what I decided. Like this is what the savings are for. The savings are there for making life better. And so I think this business will make other people's lives better, and in return, I hope that it will, make my life better. And so that was the decision. Okay, like let's quit the job. The job was fun, but like I didn't want to work for somebody else. I wanted to work for me. So this is how I kind of transitioned out of that. And the first month, when I quit my job, I didn't actually know where the money will come from. So I kind of put the papers in to quit the job, but I still had to work for like 2.5 months. And so I spent 2.5 months basically developing the premium membership. So that was when I was like, okay, it has to get real now. It has to make money now.
Now it's so real. Yeah. Now it's so real.
Very real, very quickly. So yeah, I kind of put this together with what I thought I could create, and I told everybody on the newsletter, and I think there was at the time the newsletter was about 1,600 people, so like about half of the size that it is now, and I just shared it with these people and said, hey, if you like this, if you've been here for 3 years taking the free deals, then you must like it. Otherwise, you would have disappeared already.
Right.
If you want more, like if you really, really like it and you want more of this stuff, then here's how I'm going to give it to you. And I did a promotional pricing, so I offered it to everybody from that kind of day. If they were already with me from the start, then I gave everybody the option to get 50% discount. And I remember actually the first customer emailed me back and said, hey, this is worth paying full price for.
Wow, satisfaction for you.
Yeah. So they didn't take the promotional discount. They paid full price, even though the half price discount was available. And that made me think, damn, I should have charged more. But no, it also made me think, okay, like this is valuable. Like people want this. And that was an interesting night, because I remember when I launched the paid subscription, I was in Portugal, and we had this really nice apartment which we got for a very good discount, and I was sat working there at the big desk there, and I hit send and we went for a walk. So it was in the evening time, 7 p.m. or something, it had gone dark, so it was a little bit later in the evening, and I just closed the stuff down. I was like, cool, like it's done. Like, let's see what happens now. You know, you put something out into the world, and then you just don't know what's going to happen. So I said, let's go for a walk, and we went walking along the beach. And when we came back, obviously, you know, we came back and we wanted to check it. So it was very late at night, but I wanted to check. So I checked it, and yeah, I had this email saying they wanted to pay full price, and I had other customers coming in, and it was pretty wild, actually. I was like, this is crazy. This is like, people are actually paying for this now. That's cool. And that was like, I think that was like a total step change in like how I thought about what was possible with that. And now it's like, okay, 50,000, 100,000, like 500,000 people, like we can go really big with this, and we can get really incredible deals as a community.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, it's really worth it. Like, you just paid $68 is the premium, right?
$68.
$68, and if you can save, if you can be in a nice apartment, I think it's totally worth it. Of course. Wow. So, okay, Chris, if with the knowledge that if you have to start over again, and this is more like an advice for all the community who is watching this, if you have to start over again with the knowledge that you have, how will that look like?
I would start sooner, and I would charge more money.
Yeah?
Yeah. I would monetize quickly, but if I would monetize faster, and I'd charge more money for it. In fact, I don't know when this will go out, but maybe the price will go up again
When
after
you're
1
saying,
year.
sorry, when you're saying you will start sooner, do you think that it's because like sometimes you were overthinking or?
Yeah. Yep. I like to really think, like when I have an idea, I want to think the whole thing through in my head and have the whole thing like planned out so that I know I want to know like when I get to the turn and if I need to go left or right, like I want to know already, okay, I'm going to go left. But actually, you don't really need to do that. And you can't possibly map out every left and right turn that you're going to take. Sometimes it's not left or right. Sometimes it's a crossroads. And maybe there's 4 different ways to go. You have to go down the roads that you want to go down and just figure it out a little bit as you go.
Right.
So that's, for me personally, you might be somebody who like never ever plans. Maybe you want to plan a bit more. But like, I think the first step is understand what you are most likely to do naturally as a person. What do you most like? What's your natural tendency? Because maybe that's great and maybe it's not. I think that my natural tendency is to plan too much, so I kind of like bring myself back from planning a little bit, or I try to.
Okay. The next question is about where do you see your business in the next years?
So right now, RemoteBase is a email newsletter, and that's great, and it works really well for Airbnbs. And people always say to me like, "Can I book with RemoteBase?" And I'm like, "No, I don't think like." Part of the reason that I'm doing this is because I think there's too many ways to book. It's too many places to look and check for the best accommodation at the best price. So in future, I still don't want to do that. I still don't want people to book with RemoteBase, but I want the vision for RemoteBase to change, and I want the way people think about RemoteBase to change from being an email where they get the best deals and they save time and they save money. I want it to go to like another level where people think RemoteBase is the voice that I can trust with everything related to digital nomad accommodation. So yeah, I want it to be the independent voice of authority on this space. So when there's a new platform and people don't know if they can trust it or not, RemoteBase will be able to tell you whether or not you should trust that, or whether or not they have good prices, or whether or not their property is good value, or whether or not the community at that co-living is good, or that kind of thing. Because it's more than just Airbnb, it's more than just one apartment. It's like, how do you, when you're finding these things, you have more than one option, and knowing who to trust is the biggest issue. I think this is why people this is why people spend so much time on it and are willing to spend so much money on it, because if you get it wrong, you have a terrible stay.
Right.
And nobody wants that. So if I can help people understand who to trust in this space, that's a win. And that's why the vision is to be the independent voice of authority.
Great vision. Chris, I really appreciate your time today and that you are sharing all of that for our community. As you know, this is the Spanish community mostly, and it's like Chinese community. And it's like, wow, the way that I see your business is growing, and it's like, well, maybe I'm with the next CEO of it's great. Is there anything else that you would like to add? Any advice that you would like to share with everyone?
I think I would share the advice of like, don't think that there isn't an alternative way possible. Like, living this lifestyle for me changed everything, and maybe it will change yours too. And you don't have to switch and be a digital nomad forever.
Mm-hmm.
You can try it and see if it works. So my advice would be try digital nomad life and see if it works for you.
And if you don't, well,
yeah.
well,
and if you do try it, then you can come and get really good accommodations.
Right. Okay, really, I appreciate a lot your time here today, Chris. And well, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Eddie.
Thank you very much.